You're listening to the Power Agent Blogcast, empowering agents to elevate their business to the next level.
Challenges are just a guide, leading you, don't run and hide. You've got the heart, you've got the drive, feel it pound, you're alive. Power Agent.
Welcome to the Power Agent Blogcast. We were talking about that first conversation with a potential seller, the listing presentation. That seems like a big hurdle right now, especially with interest rates being what they are, and some sellers thinking, hey, maybe I could do this myself.
Right. And it is tricky. You have to be able to walk into that conversation as the expert, not just any expert, but the expert on their neighborhood, their market. You need to know, like, instantly what's selling, how fast, what the prices are doing, none of that general stuff. Data. That's what sellers need to see right up front.
So less talking about the market, more showing them what the market's actually doing.
And then beyond the data, it's about showing them what you bring to the table. Like, how are you going to market this specific property? Not just, oh, I'll list it online, but here's the exact strategy, the platforms, the photography, everything. Here's how we target the right buyers for this house. Show them it's not just a one-size-fits-all approach.
So you're really painting a picture for them. Here's what I'm going to do to get your house sold. What about when they say, well, I was thinking of selling it myself, save on a commission? How do you handle that?
You got to be ready for that, have some examples ready to go. Real situations where, someone tried to do it on their own and ended up, with a mess or less money or taking way longer. It's complicated, right? Negotiating, paperwork, all of that, and pricing it right. I mean, you need access to data they just don't have. Maybe share a story, anonymized, of course, where you got a seller way more than they expected, more than they could have got going it alone.
So really drive home that you're not just there to, put a sign in the yard. You're bringing real value.
Yeah.
And you can prove it.
Yeah. And that listing presentation, that initial conversation, you got to practice that over and over. Get your language right so you sound confident so you can answer any question. The more prepared you are, the more likely they are to say, okay, you're the one.
That makes sense. So let's talk about money. Your fees. We've seen a lot of discussion about commissions lately, and it seems like the advice is pretty clear. Don't get into a price war.
It's a race to the bottom, and nobody wins. If you're just competing on price, you're basically saying, I'm the same as every other agent. But you're not. You have skills, experience, a track record.
Right. So how do you get away from that commission number and really show them what you're worth?
You got to have proof. Case studies, testimonials, real numbers from past deals. Look, I helped this client sell their house in a week, over asking price. Don't just tell them you get results, show them the results.
So it's like instead of saying, I'm the best, you're saying, here's what I've done.
Exactly. And shift the conversation from that commission percentage to what's your bottom line? Like, what do you want to walk away with? Then you can show them how your pricing strategy, your marketing, everything you do is going to get them more money in their pocket.
So you're really making it about their financial goals.
Right. And it's about education, too. Don't be afraid to break down the whole selling process. Show them all the steps, the potential problems, and how you're going to handle everything. Because sometimes when someone offers a lower commission, it means they're cutting corners. And that can end up costing the seller money in the long run.
So transparency is key. Show them the value of what you do and why it matters to their bottom line. I like that. Okay, let's switch gears a bit. Time management. Stress. This is a big one for agents. We all feel it.
And it's not always about how much work there is. A lot of times it's about how we manage that work. You can be busy all day and not actually move the needle. You need a system.
So how do you start to get control of your time? What are the things you absolutely have to focus on?
The things that make you money. Simple as that. Lead generation, following up with clients, staying up to date on the market. Those are non-negotiables.
Those are the core, the foundation of your business.
Exactly. And then look at everything else and think, can I automate this? Can I delegate this? A lot of the administrative stuff, transaction coordination, some of the marketing, someone else can do that. Free up your time for the things only you can do.
Delegate, automate, get it off your plate.
Right. And then the other thing is how you start your day. Do the most important thing first before you even check email, before you get on social media. That's when you're freshest. So use that time for something that will actually move your business forward.
So being intentional about your time, having a plan, and sticking to it. It sounds like that's just as important as, any marketing strategy or sales technique.
100%. It reduces stress, too. When you know what you need to do, you're not running around feeling overwhelmed.
I like that.
Okay,
let's talk about working with buyers. It seems like, getting their commitment early on is really important.
Absolutely. And that starts with setting expectations from the beginning, making sure they understand what you do, how you work, and what they can expect from you.
Okay, so walk me through that. How do you do that effectively?
First, you really have to educate them. Take the time to explain the whole home buying process, especially if they're new to it. Talk about what's happening in the market, what they need to be prepared for, and really emphasize the value of having an agent, someone who's on their side, looking out for their best interests.
So laying the groundwork for a successful partnership. What about the actual commitment part?
Get them to sign a buyer agency agreement. Explain that this allows you to really dedicate yourself to finding them the perfect house. It's a commitment on both sides.
So everyone knows where they stand.
Right. And then throughout the process, keep communicating. Here's how we're going to handle showings. Here's what to look for when you're touring a house. Here's how we'll approach making an offer. The more informed they are, the more prepared they'll be to make a decision when the right house comes along.
So you're the guide, you're the expert, and you're keeping them informed every step of the way. It sounds like that's a recipe for happy buyers.
And when buyers are happy, that usually means you're happy too. They'll send you referrals, tell their friends. It's a win-win.
Absolutely. Okay, last thing I want to touch on is, moving away from constantly chasing clients to building a business where clients come to you. It's the dream, right?
Yeah.
But how do you make it happen?
It's about building relationships, being a resource, being the person people think of when they think real estate. And it starts with your past clients. Stay in touch with them, send them market updates, neighborhood info, maybe some tips on home maintenance.
So it's not just about the transaction, it's about building an ongoing relationship.
Right. And get involved in your community. Host a seminar for first-time buyers. Do a Q&A for homeowners. People need to see you as the expert, the go-to person for real estate.
So getting out there, being visible, showing people what you know.
Yeah. And don't forget about your online presence. Answer questions on social media, share market trends, write blog posts. The more you put yourself out there as a resource, the more people will find you.
So it's about creating that pull, that attraction, rather than constantly having to push.
That's the goal.
I love that. Okay, so, we've covered a lot today. From mastering the listing presentation to, managing your time and building a business that attracts clients. It's not just about working harder, it's about working smarter.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So for everyone listening, think about what resonated with you today. What's one thing you can start doing differently? What's one small change that can move you in the right direction? Because even small changes can make a huge difference over time. And, we're all in this together.